Hi, and welcome to another episode of Nursing Your Way to Wealth, where a mental health nurse and an accountant talk about wealth creation, personal development, and financial independence in the UK to help you live the life you deserve. Hi, and welcome back. This is episode 67 of Nursing Your Way to Wealth. Accountant Alex is on holiday. He's having a 2 week honeymoon, which is lovely to hear, and hopefully he's having a nice time, but remembering to stay hydrated and wear some sunscreen. So today I've got something slightly different for you. A chap called Joel, who's from the US, from Minnesota, he sent us an email a couple of weeks ago and just said, hey, this is what I do. Would you like to connect? So we did. We spoke a little bit yesterday, a couple of emails back and forth, and it's going to culminate in this episode. So Joel runs a financial planning service out of the US. But he and I think very similarly in terms of strategy towards money and about how if you get the basics right, it can massively improve your life. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about generational wealth as well, how we're both aiming to build that for our future families. But generally, we'll follow the regular kind of pattern. So Joel, I'm just going to pass to you. If you could just give us a short intro and kind of who you are, what you do, and just a little bit onto like why you chose the career you're in, because you're super passionate about it and you're super charismatic. So I think it translates very, very well, but I think it'll be better for our listeners to hear that from you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I don't have a cool accent like Alex and Alex, but I am so excited and pumped to be here. We have a great show ready for you guys. So thank you so much to all the listeners out there. I am Joel Miller, founder and CEO of Flames Financial Planning, a financial planning business in the US. I am married to my beautiful wife, Sam. I have 2 boys. So if I'm not working, I am outside, staying active, and just living the best version of life. That's why we're here, right? Life is short. So how can we capture as many memories and moments as we possibly can? So I got into this career in this industry to help people do that. Financial decisions are so important. The average person makes 1,000 to 2,000 financial decisions every single year, and some of those can have a long-lasting impact. So I wanted to choose a high-impact career to help change your life, maybe your kids' lives, your grandkids' life. This is such a fun industry to be a part of, and I love what I do. I'm very, very thankful to be in just walking through life with people. So thanks for having me.
Oh, you're most welcome. I'm just going to pick something up you said because I didn't know it. One to 2,000 financial decisions a year. That seems a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them might have an impact for the day. Some of them might have an impact for a month, but some of these could last your entire life. That's why it's so important to think through these critically, carefully, and make sure that you're not making the wrong financial decision, because you might not know that you are causing yourself a bad habit that could last in your lifetime and future lifetimes. We all just naturally pick up the financial decisions and habits that were passed on from our parents. So it's really important that we get these sort of things right so we don't create wrong habits over multi-generational.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just another follow-up question on it. Like when you say financial decisions, do you mean like any version of spending, what to spend, what to save, what to invest, like literally
As
down to the
small or big.
tiny decisions that you make? Yeah, but we know that making small decisions, but getting those correct can lead to hundreds of thousands of pounds or dollars in terms of your net worth over a lifetime. So I'm quite staggered that people make that many financial decisions, but it makes sense now that you explain it a little bit more. And actually, you sound like you love it, and you sound like you come to work every day with a smile on your face, and creating something that like you've built must be an enormous sense of pride for you.
I like to just think of it as an opportunity. How can I have the biggest impact and leave a legacy? And what that ultimately that's how I decided to make my company and run my own business, is because I knew in my previous jobs at my previous employers, one, I'm so grateful for them and they taught me everything that I know. But in order for me to have the biggest impact, I had the capacity to do more. I knew that this was the only option. If I want to change the life of thousands of people across not only America, but how cool is this? We live in the best age where we get to be so far apart in location, but yet we're right here together over the internet. So my goal is to make a global impact across the whole globe to help everyone raise financial literacy. We all speak different languages, but the one language that we all speak the same is money, right? Budgeting, how we can prepare for the future. That is a universal language. So that's why I'm so passionate about I had to start my own business. I had to give this a try to make that global impact.
Yeah, and I think you're doing it. Absolutely. And that's actually a lovely kind of segue into we do a thing here on Nursing Your Way to Wealth called Return on Heartbeats. And I feel like my return on heartbeats, which is just something that we've done, either Alex or I have done, that's a good use of the heartbeats that we have. And I feel like for today's episode, Joel, that should be me and you connecting for 15 minutes the other day just to chat over Zoom and to plan a little bit of this episode and to make it happen. So I don't regret any of those heartbeats whatsoever. Hopefully you don't as well. So with
Oh, not at all. Absolutely.
nice, and I think like, I have no idea how far it is from my house to Minnesota. I'm pretty sure it's thousands and thousands of miles across an ocean. And actually thinking about it, you speak in Minnesota, I'm speaking out of Kent in the UK. You hear me half a second after I've said whatever I'm saying, and vice
Yeah.
versa. Like imagine you and I trying to get this done in the 1800s, writing letters.
Yeah.
It's just it's just not happening in any way, shape, or form. So the first thing we really wanted to talk about, you touched upon it already, about global basics of finance, because like you said, money is similar across the globe. We all handle it, we all think about it slightly differently. We get a lot of lessons from people who guide us in life. Some people get loads, some people get very little. The financial education in the UK, in my opinion, is shockingly bad. So I didn't get any sort of level of financial literacy out of school, but I can tell you how to work out the angles of a triangle, no problem. But what's it like in the US? Like, do you get financial literacy during like your primary, secondary school, or not?
Not as much. We still have a lot of progress to make. Thankfully, I did have a personal finance class in my high school, but we're one of the only ones. So I did get exposed to this a lot earlier. And that's actually like what created that spark in me to get into this industry was how much I loved that high school class. So that's what I can't wait to celebrate a moment where people in middle school here in the US, in high school, and in college are required to take this because everyone has to file a tax return. Everyone has wealth that would be left behind if you weren't here anymore. These are subjects that every single person, no matter what you do in life, whether you are in math or science or building or engineering, we all have personal finances and we have to make those decisions. So I can't wait until we can raise that floor, but we have a long way to go. It's getting better here in the US, but there's still a lot of mistakes. We still, because naturally we are unfortunately built as maybe a little bit of prideful, a little bit of selfishness. So it's hard. We have to fight back on the natural causes and the way that we naturally lean to make some unnatural decisions to think about these sort of things. The 5 basic things that we'll talk about here today, they are not easy. They do not come naturally. It is a skill and a muscle that we have to build, which makes us uncomfortable. And that's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we talk about humans and human behavior, we are like this is more of my bag, which is nice. But whereas other Alex is accountancy, he's finance through and through. So when we think about human behavior, we're hardwired to do stuff to keep us safe, to keep us alive, to procreate, and to keep us moderately, I want to say moderately healthy, although we can get tripped up on that one for sure. The difference with finances and money is to get these decisions right, it can feel like deprivation if you don't understand where you're trying to get to in the future. And in the moment, making those 1,000 to 2,000 financial decisions per year, some of those can be great. Some of them can be a little bit like it can niggle at you, like you're unsure of whether that's the right thing to do or not. So a lot of people at that point of being unsure, their brain is like, actually, it's a little bit stressful. I don't think you should be doing it. Much better to procrastinate this to another time when we're more prepared. But actually, we'll never be prepared if we don't have this level of financial education. So you keep procrastinating, put it off, because that's the version of your brain that it doesn't like making or doing hard things. It doesn't like making difficult decisions because you could be wrong. And we know that feeling negative about those things, loss aversion, we know that feeling like we could have done slightly better with something is a bad feeling. So our brains will naturally do anything they can to avoid it. But in doing that, we fall into a much bigger trap in life.
100%. And we don't talk about it often enough because we're afraid of failing or we're afraid of judgment. So here's a global technique that everyone can use. Start talking about your personal finances. It's so taboo to talk about this with your parents, your siblings, your best friends, because we're so afraid of someone making more than us, or we're really afraid of someone having more wealth than us. And that's what causes us to live a slower version of ourselves, because the more we collaborate this, the better things are going to happen. So I want everyone to be more proud of what you make or what you're looking forward to doing. Go challenge yourself. Go have a conversation around what you're looking forward to. Set goals with people. Help them hold you accountable for those goals. So if you are unhappy with what you're making today as an income source, or maybe you feel bad about what you're spending or how much you're spending on something, go talk to someone about it. I think if we just start communicating more with our friends and family about this, remove the judgment, remove the shame, remove the guilt, I think that will be one of the catalysts to raise financial literacy in a global perspective, is by talking about it more.
Yeah, it's huge. Be the change, right? Be the change you want to see, and have have that conversation. It's like when you're trying to accomplish something difficult, trying to do something difficult and doing it alone is much harder than doing it with a friend or family member alongside you. So what you say, Joel, makes perfect sense. Absolutely perfect sense. So of the 5 things then for money, general like global basics, money behavior, number 1 is talk. What's number 2?
I would say number 1 is starting the conversation. And then 2 is starting with building your emergency fund. Wherever you are, you need to have that safety net so that you don't have to over leverage yourself in a poor or bad situation. So we need to be ready. We need to be prepared. We need to go through that training phase so that when life hits us or when something comes at us, no matter where we are, the car troubles are going to come up. The unexpected expenses are going to come up. That is just a part of life, but we need to be ready for those. So here in the US, we recommend between 3 to 6 months of your expenses saved in a high yield liquid emergency fund that is ready to go. So that way we do not have to go and put ourselves into high interest credit card debt, because that is the worst possible thing that we can do. So I would say number 2 is being ready for the unexpected.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we've talked a little bit about these steps prior, and actually, I'll be interested to see if they all match up to my own kind of set of thinking. But like, we know life is unpredictable. Unpredictable stuff happens all the time, and actually, having like you say, Joe, car troubles, that's not an unpredictable thing. We know at some point that's going to happen. It's always best to have a little bit of cash set aside so you don't then have to borrow at high interests, or you don't have to simply just not do the fix or whatever it is. So you could be driving around in something unsafe. Yeah. Okay. So open the conversation. Have an emergency fund just to buffer you against life. Number 3.
This is a double whammy. Live below your means and pay off all of your debt. We need to stop spending what we do not have. So that's a big problem. I don't know about there, but here in the US, we're just in too much debt. We are too greedy and we want things too soon. So we get ourselves into high interest credit card debt. We have 1 or 2 car loans. We have student loans. We have other loans. You can put everything on a loan here. You can get a trampoline on loan. You can get a swing set on loan. So we need to live below our means and pay off all of this ridiculous stuff that we're financing. And we need to get back to delaying a goal until we can afford it and pay in cash.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely agree. I've just had a quick Google whilst you were talking. The level of UK consumer debt, which for 2025, which doesn't include mortgages, so it doesn't include house loans or anything like that, and it doesn't include student loans, is £8,238. per person, which actually I feel like a lot of people will be debt free, but a lot of people will be lifting that kind of higher. They'll have multiples of £8,000 worth of debt. It's certainly more than I would like, and I don't like the fact that debt becomes normalized. Like you can pretty much finance anything in England as well, not necessarily trampolines, but like if you go to like higher education, it's accepted you'll get student loans. If you want a car, the amount of pushing you'll get towards a finance deal for a car is way, way, way higher. It's almost abnormal to walk into a car dealership or a garage and just pay it outright in cash and then just drive it off the car lot. You're much, much more likely to get talked into some kind of percentage based finance loan. And I've always thought that car loans for things like that, they're monetary loans. They're loans from banks or big institutions with a car attached, not the other way around.
Yeah, it is. It's just very sad that that is the direction that they want you to go. There's a reason why they want you to finance everything so they can get that extra money from it. And I know things are expensive right now. So it's really hard to do this. And I don't know how it's going to get fixed in the next few years. Cars are expensive, homes are expensive, but there is debt that we should be able to avoid. Let's decrease that number of consumer debt per average person. And it comes down to living below your means and not putting yourself into an uncomfortable situation that you can't actually afford.
And I think with that comes a reduction in stress in general, and it will mean you're better able to make good financial, well thought out financial decisions as well.
100% agree there. That is such a good point because I can even notice the conversations if I'm speaking to someone that has a mortgage and lots of consumer debt, or if I'm speaking to someone who just has a mortgage, there's almost like it's like a completely different person. It's like there's these extra clouds, there's these extra weights that are on you. Those are not only just hard financial choices that you're putting on yourself, but that impacts everything else. That will, without you even noticing, that will change how you talk to your family, how you go on vacation. That will actually impact every other area of your life, even though it feels like, oh, well, it's only $300 for this car loan, only $450 for that car loan. Oh, well, my student loans are still at $250 and I'm 10 years out of school. But we underestimate how much that is playing a role in your other areas. So that's why it's absolutely like number 3 on this list, is because you will live a better, more fulfilled life if you get out of that consumer debt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've said it before on this kind of podcast, but a little bit of science here, Joel. I don't know if you know it, but when humans across the like global humans, right, when we are either anxious or we're stressed, it switches off the front part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, the bit behind your forehead and behind your eyes. That part of your brain it does like the rational thinking, so your higher executive functioning. When you're in that state and you're in that state constantly, that part of your brain is less active because your brain, your body and your mind, it doesn't need that rational thinking if you're in fight or flight mode all the time. So you will make, on the whole, poorer financial decisions because you can't do anything else. Your brain is just stuck in that state, revolving day to day. And that's why we see people make what look like ridiculous financial decisions, but actually it makes enough sense to the individual to be done. And it's a culmination of, I think, being overstressed and anxious about money. And it's a self kind of replicating thing. Once you're in that cycle, it's really difficult to break your way out of. So that's why I'm very glad pay off debts and live below your means is certainly on your list. It's 100% on mine as well. With so either we've got the first 3 steps. What's the 4th one?
It sounds so ironic because our whole life is about goal setting. From a very young age, our parents set goals for us to hit, to achieve, to start crawling, to start walking, to ride a bike, to get to school, to get good grades. We are goal-oriented people. And typically where people stop setting goals is once they get their career. Everyone will graduate from university or college, and that was the final goal for them they set for themselves. And then all of a sudden we stop setting goals. So it is a perfect time to continue setting goals. And I like to do this in 3 buckets. Bucket 1 are goals you know that you can accomplish pretty easily. Bucket 2 is stretch goals that you know you can accomplish, but they're going to put you in a slightly uncomfortable spot. You're going to have to do a little bit of work to accomplish these. And then bucket 3 is almost impossible goals. Goals that you want to work towards, that you think you might be able to get to, but it's going to take a lot of work. And that is a big step to go from no goal setting to doing 3 different buckets of goals. I don't want you to stop goal setting because you got your first career. That is the best time to keep setting goals. One of the things that really blows my mind is I will speak to a client, and one of my first questions is, all right, when do you want to stop working? And nobody can answer the question. They might be 25, they might be 30, they might be 35 or 40, and they have never taken the time to stop and think, when do I want to stop working? Because that's the key. That is the key to the equation. That is the final step. So you can figure out, are you over contributing? Are you on track? Or are you underfunding your own retirement? So as a general flat out number, I would love to see you put away 20% into your retirement goal, into your retirement accounts. But that's got to start with an age. So that would be number 4, is pick a retirement age, continue to goal set even after you've gotten that first career.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And I think UK retirement, as you say, if people were putting away 20% of their kind of income, that would be incredible. Right now in the UK, we've had a thing called auto enrollment pensions, which I think was from 2015, where the government mandate if you work a certain amount of hours per week and you earn a certain amount, you have to be enrolled into a pension. You can opt out, but it's an extra step that the human has to do. So most people then are just auto enrolled. They mandate that us as employees, we put in 5%, the employer puts in 3%, and you get a little bit of tax relief kind of on that as well. So it's something in terms of pension provision, because there are a lot of people who are, I think, sleepwalking into a really, really underfunded retirement. And I've seen so many people who are kind of my age, mid-30s or younger, opting out of pensions because they think they need the money now. They don't want to wait to have that money, or simply they need it to kind of live right now. And I'm just like, please put something in it, at least to stay within your kind of company pension. Like, please don't opt out of it. So I think that's a global kind of thing. But the way you talk about goals, I like all of them. Have you ever heard of the term a big, hairy, audacious goal? It's known as like a BHAG.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's from the book Built to Last, right?
Yep.
By Jim Collins, right? Yeah, no, I just wondered if you've heard of it. So clearly some more global stuff going on. Okay, so goals is number 4, and number 5?
I would say you've worked hard, you've gotten through your career, you've bought that home, and try to pay it off. I don't know what the average how long your mortgage loans are in the UK, but here it's very common for a 30% loan. Don't take 30 years to pay off your house. You can do better than that. Make more than the minimum, make 1 or 2 extra payments per year, and get that paid off in 15 to 25 years. There's no reason why, if you can't afford to pay that off, if you can only afford to pay that off in 30 years, then you probably are doing something wrong. So I want to see you pay that off quicker. We don't have to know today, but I want you to designate. I want you to set that as one of your stretch goals, is I'm going to have this paid off between 15, 20, or 25 years. I am not going to use the full 30 years to pay off this mortgage.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I know you guys in the US, you get 30-year mortgage terms on kind of fixed rate interest, whereas in the UK, you can get something like 2 years, 5 years. Like a 10-year mortgage fix would be pretty out there, to be honest, for someone in the UK. So often people are taking like a 2-year fix, maybe a 5-year fix, and you're having to renegotiate that all the time. So you kind of have to be on it. But I also like massively agree in the current terms of like the mortgage interest rates currently in the UK, they're like 4%, 5%, something like that. And if you can put even £50, £100 extra per month to it, that you've saved by step 3, paying off any high interest debts, living below your means, you can save yourself tens tens of thousands of pounds in interest, and you knock years and years off of your like time frame. And I think it's about questioning whether the norm is like whether the status quo is the smart thing to do, or is it just what most people do, and it's kind of a follow the crowd type thing. But no, how do people, like when you talk to them and you are their financial planner, what do they say to you when you say to them, look, step five, I want you to pay off your home in 15 years instead of 30?
It's kind of a shock, right? Because they're like, well, I don't have to do that. And I agree, you don't have to, but I want you to do that. I want
It's
to challenge
optional.
you to do that. Exactly. Because here, look at this. Look at the differences, and we can run a quick calculation to see, like you mentioned, how much you will save in interest. But there's so much more to that. It's all wrapped up. All of these goals are ultimately about living your best financial life and unlocking the best version of yourself. So that's what it's going to do. If you can pay this off in 15, 20, or 25 years, it will then open up that cash flow towards other things. And here's a bonus one. When you've done all of these things, number 6, the bonus, be generous, and create generational wealth. That is difficult to do if you have not done steps 1 through 5. If you have accomplished 1 through 5, you can do this bonus step and you will be blown away by the results.
Yeah, I think people misunderstand how like people work so hard for their money, and they work and they believe they're doing good kind of financial behaviors. But if you understand a little bit more about it, especially in terms of like compounding and what putting a little bit of money away in the right kind of place into an investment can do for not only yourself but beyond your lifetime. Like if you've ever played with a compound interest calculator, and you kind of pick it within your own lifetime, and you kind of stop it when you get to like 60 years old, however far off you are from that. But then if you double that, and you say you leave this money compounded for 120 years, 150 years, something like that, and we're talking second, third, maybe fourth generation of family at that point, like it would be your great 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 grandkid or something. Like imagine them kind of coming into after they've finished kind of school, and they're picking whatever university they're going to, and then their family are like, guess what, your great great grandfather Joel set up this fund so you can pick any university and you can come out debt free. What a ridiculously helpful thing that would be.
Absolutely. Compounding interest is one of the greatest, most powerful tools, and we don't use it enough. A small number multiplied by a small number over a long period of time becomes a really big number. So the more that we can step outside of our shoes and look forward to our kids, our grandkids, or maybe our great grandkids, you don't have to put away a lot of money. You can start with a small dollar amount, and that will turn into a big dollar amount later on because of your discipline, because of your ability to think long term. So that's the challenge that I would give to people is don't only think of yourself. Think of the legacy that you can live. Do you want to be remembered for the 80 years that you were on this earth, or do you want to be remembered for the multi-generational impact that you had on your family legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd 100% pick the legacy option for sure. Like, I just can't get over the the positive impact you can have. Like, if you think about starting these good financial habits, doing these steps 1 through 5, getting to step 6, like the bonus step, as you say, and then saying, actually, you've already supported your family while you're alive. How about supporting every generation of family that comes after you, and giving them access to free educations, giving them house deposits, for buying your great 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 granddaughter or son their first car, and paying for insurance as well. And then, like, imagine you do all of that, and then they watch a short video from you, just say like, I've done all this for you. Here you are. This is what my face looks like. And then you could even leave them details, understanding, perhaps a book or a list of books, or even a show like this. And you just say, look, listen back to this when Joel spoke to Alex on the 11th of June, 2025 at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. UK time, right? 9 p.m. Minnesota time. And just think about those lessons, because I think timeless lessons in money, they've held true for a long time. And I don't see the monetary system disappearing overnight, and I still think these solid, good fundamentals will still be applicable to 4 generations time.
100%. There are strategies and executions that will change, but these that we talked about could last multi lifetimes, right? Living below your means is not going anywhere. Talking and removing the taboo around financial conversations with friends and family, that's not going anywhere. Being generous and creating generational wealth, that is so much better than anything that we can buy nowadays, right? We can't take any of this with us. We are here for a finite amount of time. So, how can we have the biggest impact when we are gone? And these 5 steps plus the bonus step, you will see lots of success in your life if these are the habits that you start building. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take time, and it is a muscle. But the more you work on that, I don't think your finances will be the only thing that are positively impacted. I think that you will notice this in your friendships, in your physical life, in your emotional life, in your work-life balance. These are just habits of successful people, which leads me to another thing that can be globally applied. Surround yourself by successful people. Surround yourself with the people who make good financial choices. Surround yourself by people who are hard, determined workers, because you will become the average of your 5 closest friends. So you want those people to be pouring into you. You want to be learning from them and growing from them. If you surround yourself by unsuccessful people, guess what you are going to become? Unsuccessful. If you surround yourself by lazy people or people who spend a lot of money, that's exactly who you're going to be in a short amount of time. So I cannot stress that enough, is that you need to be mentored. You need to be poured into from maybe a next generation. Surround yourself with people that are similar ages to you, but then look for that person who is 1 generation ahead of you and find out from them. What did you do well? What would you have done differently? What made you successful? What made you fail? Find out all of those sort of things, because we don't want to recreate the same mistakes that the previous generation made.
Yeah, I mean, we're all trying to refine life, aren't we, to make it as easy as possible to do as much as we can within that time frame. And actually, like they say that history just kind of repeats itself, but learning from old generations is something that I don't think we do enough. And it's another thing that kind of fascinates me about books is you can get somebody's life, like their life's work, in 500 pages or probably less, or a couple of hours of an audiobook. And I don't want anyone listening to this to waste any of their time that they have. So, like, as I've been speaking to Joel, I've been making some notes. I've been working on my posture. I'm trying to sit as straight as possible in my chair, because it's doubly effective, it's doubly efficient for the time that we have. And I want people to recognize that actually they do have time in their week to start tackling this 5 or 6 points that we've talked about. But it's recognizing what you're currently doing with that time.
Absolutely. Capture every moment. Do not waste an opportunity to grow. And if you're listening to this today, wherever you are in the world, you're doing a great job. This is what it takes by making a small decision to change and create a good habit that could last a lifetime. So all of these different things, I challenge you to start them. Start small, get started. The best day is today. So don't waste. We cannot go back and change the past. I do not care what you've done for the last year, 5 years, 10 years. It's about today and making that effective change so that you don't continue to waste the next 5, 10, or 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's full of potential. It's just using it, isn't it? And there's so much wasted potential that doesn't get used because people don't learn the lessons. They don't know that they can do these things. They don't have the self belief that they can do them. Yeah, which is mad. Okay. I think that's a fair bit. We've gone in nearly 35 minutes, so we'll do a quick game of reasonable or ridiculous. So this is going to be like a cross-border UK-US version.
Reasonable or ridiculous?
So Joel, every kind of week on the podcast, Alex and I play a game called Reasonable or Ridiculous, where one of us brings the other one something, um, and then I'll just give you like a concept or something. It'll be linked to money, and then you can tell me whether you think it's a reasonable or ridiculous from your point of view. So, in terms of this might sound a bit naive from my point of view, but from what I see online and within the financial media, car payments in the US seem to be a thing that people just accept. So is is having a car payment if you live in the US, is that reasonable or ridiculous? And if so, is there an amount that you would consider to be reasonable as a percentage of income? Or is it just ridiculous wholly as a thing? What do you think?
Yeah, I am very, very strong. This is an easy one. I was a little nervous, so I'm glad you went easy on me. Absolutely ridiculous. Car are one of the most crazy subjects to plan and discuss. You can get from A to B in a $500 car, a $50,000 car, or a $1 million car, and they all get you from A to B. But the only thing that changes is how you feel while you're in the car. But the actual accomplishment of getting by means of transportation to wherever you're going is the exact same. So I think it's ridiculous. It is so frustrating that cars cost so much nowadays. And there are still plenty of cars that you can get for $5, $10, $15, or $20,000 that are great, are reliable, that last a very long time. But we put ourselves into a tough spot of going to get that 25, 45. You can get a Suburban for $80,000 here, and people are doing it. So it is ridiculous the amount that we just accept. We just accept that, yep, everyone has a car payment. Everyone has 2 car payments. It is somewhere between $300 to $1,000 per month. And I am sick of it. And I hope that we can change that.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. So when you say like a Suburban, it's like a Chevrolet, right? Or a Chevy Suburban.
You can get these huge cars that are like tanks that you're driving around, and it does keep your family safe. It's very spacious. It has a lot of trunk space, but they are so expensive, and it's just accepted. That's what people do because they look nice. They feel good. You feel good while you're in it.
Mm-hmm.
And all you're really doing is driving to the gym or driving to drop off your kids. So I want you to keep your family safe. I want you to be in a good, reliable car. I don't know how to fix the issue that cars are just too expensive. Homes are too expensive. I hope that is someone else's job to figure out how we can change that. But it is absolutely ridiculous that we accept the fact that the average person has 1 or maybe even 2 car payments per month.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely agreed. Like in where I work, so I'm in the UK. I'm a UK nurse, working like the neurodivergence field. So I make 45,000 English pounds per year. I'll do a bit of googling and see how much that is in kind of US dollars. But I drive the oldest car in the car park. Everyone else seems to have a car that's less than like 5 years old or so, and my current car is 15 years old. But it costs me like £2,500, and I've had it 3 years so far. Other people, they drive these massive cars that don't fit in the current spaces. They don't like parking them under trees because it might get sap on it or whatever. And I was talking to some people the other day, and they were like, yeah, I spend £300 a month on this car. I spend £500 a month on this. And actually, your car gets you from places, right? It looks nice, blah, 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 etc. But it sits still, either at your house, at work, at the supermarket, or somewhere else. It spends most of its time sitting, not driving. And I can't imagine any version of me that spends like $80,000 is nearly twice what I make in a year. There's no part of me that could rationalize spending that on a mode of transport.
And it depreciates in value. You are not only just in it for a very short amount of time in comparison to some other things, but it's going down in value. And the average person just continues to swap cars every few years because they just feel good. It is a feelings issue of why we overspend on cars. Is the technology nice? Yes. Does the big fancy screen look nice? Yes. Like, again, you feel good while you're in it, but is it really worth setting back your other financial goals for that? Is it really worth the sacrifices of the trade-offs of other means to set up your family for success and all of that? And it's a hard choice. I'm going through the exact same thing right now as my wife and I are looking for the car for our family. It's a tough choice. You feel like the world is pushing you into this sort of decision that you have to buy this big, fancy, nice car because there's not a lot of options nowadays. So I understand and I resonate with people of why you get pressured into that decision. You talked about this earlier. If you walk into a car dealership, they don't want you walking out with the lower priced car. They don't want you walking out paying all in cash. There is every reason nowadays. Social media, car dealerships, salespeople, they are pushing you into this sort of decision. So it feels like it's the only one you can make.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And it's just another thing of questioning the status quo, isn't it? It's everyone gets a car payment. Everyone pays your mortgage off in 30 years plus. Everyone wears this particular suit, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And I think it's just questioning whether those decisions are right for you and your family and whether they'll get you where you want to go in a time frame that's acceptable to you. Joel, thank you so much for your time, my friend. I'm just going to do a quick summary where I'll quickly summarize everything we've discussed. And at the end, if you want to add anything else, we can, of course, chuck it in. I'm just a little bit conscious of your time because I know you've carved out a bit of time during your working day to sit here with me. So, Joel from Flames Financial Planning, we've talked about the average human makes 1,000 to 2,000 financial decisions every year. That we both agree that the level or the floor for financial literacy is quite low, and we're both working opposite ends of the pond to try and raise that. We've talked about global basics of finances, and Joel's broken those down into 5 steps and a bonus one. So 1, have conversations about money. 2, have an emergency fund, somewhere between 3 to 6 months of your expenses. The third one, live below your means / pay off any debts. Number 4, set goals. Set some you can accomplish, some that are stretch goals that you really have to strive, perhaps have a little bit of luck to achieve them. And then the last bit in goals is set impossible goals. So something big, difficult. The stars would have to align for you to manage that. But set it. If you don't set it, you can never achieve it. The 5th one, pay off your house. You don't need to be paying the bank that much money in interest payments over the time. You can reduce that significantly just by using a little bit of spare cash each month. 6th one, as a bonus, is be generous. Buy people things when you can. Help someone else out. Help other humans out who are on the same path as you. And also think about what you can create in generational terms. So at the moment, we have access to the internet. You do because you're listening to this. Joel and I have. We've linked together to form this, to record this podcast. You can very, very quickly start good financial habits to invest a little bit of spare money you have every month and leave it to run for the next 100 and something years, way beyond your lifetime, into your children's lifetime, your grandchildren's lifetime. And if you set that up correctly and you manage it in a way that makes sense and you have like a defined purpose for it, so say you want to be able to buy all of your grandkids cars one day and their kids cars, you set up this investment account and they can take a little bit of money for cars, and like you'll go further and further down the generations, and then they'll be like, where did this money come from? And they'll be like, your great 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 grandfather or great 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 grandmother set this up, and now you can have this car to get you around. And I think that it feels I feel a lot of emotion around that because that's such a lovely thing to be able to do, and it proves that actually your life doesn't stop with you. The decisions you make can impact not only those around you, but every generation of your family here on out.
Yeah, I mean, what an amazing summary. It's just an awesome episode where people are going to be able to take these application points and make a difference today. Do not strive for perfection. Go for progress. Just get started and you'll be blown away by the results. So, Alex, thank you so much. You're a phenomenal host. What an amazing episode where we're able to do this so many miles away from each other across the ocean. So cool. So if you guys like what you heard today, if you are a US based person, and if you want to learn more about a membership, go to flamesfp.com. Jump on my calendar. I would love to meet you. I'd love to say hello, hear your financial story, and talk about if a membership is right for you. for you to partner with a financial planner that you trust that will help you set goals and keep you accountable for those. So let's talk about a membership. If wherever you are, I want to raise the education and raise the floor of financial literacy across the globe. So you can follow me on YouTube and Instagram, Joel Miller Finance, for content, maybe busting financial myths, teaching you something you knew you've never heard about before, or rethinking about a certain financial subject. So I cannot wait to meet you. Follow me on the socials, and I'm just looking forward to you making a difference. Be the change you want to see in the world, and that starts today.
I think, to be honest, perfect way to end it. I'll leave links to everything and all you do and all of your work below. But just as a last parting thing, very roughly, the distance from the UK to Minnesota is 3,714 miles.
Wow. Thank you for technology for making this possible. And I took a trip to London a year and a half ago, and it was one of the coolest experiences ever. London is absolutely amazing, and I miss the fish and chips every single day.
That's a typical British staple for sure, but I would be remiss if I didn't say to you, fish and chips by the coast, where the fish is freshly caught, way better than in a city. So next time you arrive,
I'll have to go back someday. I'll have to go back and try it.
Yeah, do it. I'll take you for fish and chips in Kent, because it's surrounded where I live, 3 sides of water. There are some great fish and chip places, so I'll do that.
There we go.
Next time you come here,
can't wait for it.
Me, and I'll buy you dinner. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure.
None of what we discuss on the show is to be considered financial or health advice, and we recommend you always do your own research or consult an independent financial advisor or a doctor when making your financial or health decisions.